Are we good to go?
Here.
Are we good?
All right, we live, Sean.
Okay. Yeah,
We live.
I know. My bad about that. Okay, so happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to the Tit for Tat podcast. I'm Carolyn. I'm one of your hosts.
I'm Jay Moore, and I'm the tip for tat, and Carolyn's the tat. It's the tip for tat. She be denying that, Jane. I got my homies in the building. Eddie F was home making the beat. I got Jay from Queens. We out here doing our thing. Tip for tat nation, what's up?
He's rhyming.
Oh, how we missed that. Welcome back to you, who was not present last week, so we didn't get to do
My
the
bad.
intro. No, it's okay. We all understood. However, the fancy intro did not happen last week.
I know.
We were not here.
Maybe I need to record that, Jane, and have it just run. You know what I mean?
You do. Actually, you know what? That's what you need to do. You need to have it recorded so when you're not here, I can just play it and we can still get the, get the effect of it. I think that would
Okay.
be
All right.
We're gonna do that next time. Anyway, I'm excited for tonight's topic. Is marriage outdated? It's a hot topic. I mean, obviously, like my opinion of marriage has changed tremendously, even just in the last few years. And I know I'm hearing a lot of conversation and dialogue around how people are feeling about marriage nowadays. So let's start out with some controversial videos that have gone viral lately. I know you guys have seen it, talking about the Cam Newton interview. And then they've recently circled back the Nick Cannon interview as well. But let's start with the Cam Newton interview. He made a statement that said his fear of marriage was greater than his, I don't want to misquote.
Fear of having kids?
Yes. Yeah, something along those lines.
His fear of divorce was greater than his want for marriage.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. What do y'all think about that?
I didn't really understand the comment, and maybe you guys can help me out. I didn't understand. So break it down for me. What was meant by that?
Essentially, he was saying he wants to be married, but he's more scared of the possibility of divorce. So that fear of possible divorce is stopping him from completely just going into marriage in the first place.
So let me give a perspective on that, especially from a guy like him. This is a guy who played a sport at the highest levels. So as an athlete, and when you play a sport for a long time, especially into your adulthood, you know that in any situation, there's going to be a winner and a loser. And you accept that, right? But what you won't accept is that you didn't give it your all, right? So as a ball player, I know I can accept losing as long as I know that I put in 100%. Because I can't control anything and everybody else. So, especially in a team sport, if everybody's not giving 100%, there's a possibility that we would lose because the other team has everybody on the same page. So I'm gonna switch speeds, right? In a marriage, it's two people. I know I'm gonna give 100%. The fear is my significant other always going to give 100%. Meaning, are we both going to live up to, hey, through thick and thin, rich, poor, sick, and good health? Are we gonna fight for us, right? Just like you do in a game, are we fighting to win?
Okay, I understand that, but are you saying that might be his perspective and why he feels that way?
I think because he's unsure of the other person. Because I believe that he believes he's going to give it everything he has in that in that relationship. I don't think he believes, in his experience, the woman would.
Oh my God. As an athlete, I understand that mindset, but I don't think that he thinks like that at all. Like, I think it's completely different. I just think that he just doesn't want to get married because he doesn't see the value in it. Why should he when he can sleep with this one, that one? He says he wants to have more kids. So it's just like there's a mindset of why would I marry any one of these women when I can just kind of do my own thing and I'm not really held accountable by anyone? I think that's where he is coming
So
from.
you think he doesn't want to be held accountable? I'm sorry, I cut you off, Jay. Go ahead.
No, I
Or
was just
Eddie, was
saying.
that Eddie or Jay? Were y'all about to say something?
No, that was Carolyn.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no. That's just how I feel about it. I don't think that he is concerned about whether or not someone would give their all or match his, his efforts in a marriage. I think that he selfishly recognizes that he is a man who has a lot of money and that because of that, he can get away with certain things with certain women. And so why would he settle with one when he does not have to? And I think that he's not the only person out here feeling that way, or even the only man feeling that way. Now, he might have more resources than the average person. And so he may feel like he has more options, or he's always going to be able to kind of have the pick of the litter as far as women are concerned. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of people could relate to how he's feeling and what he said about his fear, specifically his fear of marriage.
I mean, let's keep it a buck though. Like, financially, we talked about this before. Is it financially advantageous for a man, especially who has the means and the resources, to get married these days?
No
Knowing
value.
that there's a bigger possibility of divorce, knowing that what's it up to 80% now of all divorces are filed by women?
Crazy.
Literally, that's like going into a casino and thinking that you're going to beat the house.
Exactly.
So why should men get married? What's the benefit of it for any man?
It depends on who you are and what you think.
Obviously, Cam don't think it's advantageous for him, but you can kind of see why, because in America he can only marry one woman. So that would mean that these other women that he's had children with and have some type of relationship with, he couldn't anymore. He'd have to go from 8 to 1.
Oof.
And obviously, you know that he just ain't been 9 months with one, then then with another one for 9, another one for 9, and another one for 9. You know that ain't the case. So he out here, moving and shaking, doing his thing. Whether he gonna admit to it or not, whether he gonna dive into any timelines, but I mean, you can kind of see it for what it really is. So
That's actually a great point. Would he be successful and be more down for marriage if he could have multiple women or marry multiple women?
He'd probably marry them all. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he would marry them all, because at that point, it's more about just saying you married for somebody, or to somebody, than actually making a commitment to one person. Because it's supposed to be, you marry one person because you're supposed to be making that commitment to that one person, to where it's different than any other commitment you got with anybody else. That's supposed to be the highest. I'm doing something with this one person that I cannot do with anyone else, because I only get to choose one.
But how can you commit to several people? Like, I don't understand the value. I'm struggling with the value of getting married to one person, let alone multiple people. Because
what are we committing to, right? What are we committing to?
yeah, like essentially there's not really any commitment.
No. What are you committing to though? Be specific. Can I commit to making sure you have a house and a home for all 8 women? and let's just use Cam for example, multi-millionaire, successful football player. Can he commit to, let's say, 8 women, providing them each a house? Or if they all want to live in one house, could he do that? He has the means.
He has the means, yeah.
Right. Are the children going to be well fed, great schooling, this, that, and the third? He has the means.
Mm-hmm.
If, as far as what he's committing to, or what we're saying commitment as far as marriage, is it impossible to do that for each person, each woman, and the child? And I mean, for him, he's got 8 kids with three women.
Mm-hmm.
Can he commit to 3 women and doing the same thing for each?
I don't think so. Not in a real marriage.
Right.
I think bare
Hold that
minimum.
thought. Hold that thought.
You know,
Let's define a real marriage in a minute, though. Like, let's hold that thought.
Yeah.
So let's just say in his world, for him, real marriage is I'm giving you everything you need. And I may not be able to fuck every one of you each night, or maybe I could. So now you're also getting your sex. You know what I'm saying? Like, is it beyond, and it's not like this is a far gone concept, because it's already happening. Is it far fetched for him to be able to commit to 3 women wholesale?
Nah.
I don't think so, because I don't think that's you're not able to fully commit when you're juggling different people.
But you keep saying fully commit. Define what he's not committing to. What is he missing out on, as far as you're concerned? As far as what is missing in that, as far as you saying he's not fully committed? What's missing?
The children.
Yeah.
The children.
Yeah.
They're committed. He's taking care of them.
Nah. He's paying for them, but he's not going to all their games.
No, I'm saying, what if they were all in the same house?
Oh, you mean like in Utah? Like if I was a Mormon?
Yeah,
and they all
that's what I'm talking about. Like that's what I'm.
Oh, okay. You didn't say that.
I'm not talking about what's going on right now. I'm talking about in a poly marriage, the poly setup. They're all in the same house.
Well, that would take a special woman to go with all that. But I mean,
No, that's not the question. I'm saying the commitment. What is missing if they're all in the same house from a commitment standpoint? What's missing?
You're naming very surface things, like buying a house.
But I'm asking you. I don't know. Tell me what is missing commitment.
So if they were living in your world, or not even your world, but in Utah, if I was a Mormon, which is happening right now as we speak in somebody's house, it takes a special woman for that to be that of a whole life.
Eddie,
So
I know that
point,
it takes a special woman. I'm not asking you about special woman. I'm asking what's missing from what she's saying from a commitment standpoint.
Well, let me break it down like this. This is the realest thing you'll ever heard, and I'm not telling you nothing because I'm sure you know this already. Your success as a man, as a father, as a husband is predicated on the happiness of the woman, of the wife, of the mother. So if the mother is not down with you having 3 women in her house, bruh, your failure, no matter if you buying all these kids everything, they got
Eddie, he's not putting a gun to their head and saying move in. The women have agreed to this. I'm talking about a poly.
It takes a special woman to be down with that. Now, if that special woman is cool with it, then by all means, he's successful. He's winning.
Okay, Eddie. Assume we've got 3 special women,
okay,
and they've all agreed. They all live in the same house. You know, what is missing from a commitment standpoint? That's my question.
Well, in that world, in the same house, everybody is fed. Everyone's living together. Oh, he's winning. Absolutely winning in the same house.
I don't agree with that.
I'm asking you, Carolyn, what's missing?
I told you earlier, time. For one, are we going to be like, okay, there's 24 hours a day. This baby mom and these kids get 8 hours here. This baby mom and this kid get 8 hours here. This baby mom and these kids get 8 hours. Like, what are we doing? Like, you can't, because he still has to do things within himself or by himself. He still has, appearances or whatever he does in his daily life. So you have to take that into account with whatever time he's spending that's not going towards the women and the kids. And
so you're assuming that a woman's going to feel like she's not getting her time.
Oh, of course.
Yes,
They feel like that
absolutely,
now.
100%.
They feel
We
like
need
that now.
to, you know what we need to do? We need to bring on, because I'm telling y'all, I know women right now who are not, I know people in a poly relationship. I think we all do. And I know women who, they may not be in one right now, but they would be down for it.
They
And I would
think they
love to know
would.
their perspective on what you're saying, huh?
They think they would.
Yeah, but I also know, yeah, I agree with that. They say that, but then I also know some who are in one.
Oh
And I'm
yeah.
gonna see if I can get them on the show because I think that's a fascinating topic. And I would love to know the dynamics of what some of the things that you're talking about, because I'm not trying to be sarcastic or funny. I have no idea, right? And I have no idea what that would look like or what it feel like, but it's happening. And it seems like there's a lot more of that going on.
I mean, there may be, and they may seem happy, but I would think that there would be a great sacrifice of peace when you're moving like that, whether they all under the same roof or they're not, because women are going to, they can sit here and act like as long as he's paying the bills and doing, whatever, making sure I'm good, I am going to be okay with whatever situation we have at hand. But I don't believe that that's going to be the situation long term. Somebody going to get mad because somebody, instead of getting the Escalade, they got a G-Wagon or something like that. Like, you can't do, everybody gets everything equally the same. And when that starts to happen, then you're going to feel, the women are going to start feeling like, and even not just the women, the kids, depending on how old they are, they're going to recognize that I'm not getting something, and there is a lack of something in some way in this relationship with my dad or with my partner, when it comes to the women, that is going to cause an issue. I just don't believe that any women are, like, you see stories about that all the time. Like, I don't think that women are truly happy in those situations. I don't know why they're in them, but I don't believe you can really truly be happy in a situation like that.
So let me piggyback on something else. I dated a woman one time, a couple of years back, and she was saying, she was like, if I ever get married again, I would want, my ideal situation would have two separate houses. I said, really? I said, how would that work? She was like, I don't want to live with a man. I don't want to, I like my space. I don't have to be up under you. I don't have to, like, do all the things that's in a traditional marriage. I found that very interesting. And then I heard that, and I saw it again online, like, to the point where I saw somebody build a house or two houses with a connection in between the two, and it was his and hers. And they were married, but they had two separate spaces.
I like
I
that.
found that very fascinating.
I saw that somewhere, and when I started thinking about it, I actually like that idea. I've been single for so long, like, I'm just used to having my own personal time, my own personal space. Like, I don't see myself, like, living with a man again, to be quite honest. Like, I would, not to say that I wouldn't be in a committed relationship, because I think also what's missing and why marriage is so outdated, or why people are so quick to give up on marriage, because there's a real lack of loyalty in most people. I'm just gonna say it like that. Like, I think a lot of people don't understand or don't have that loyalty piece that it takes to remain committed to someone, for a long period of time.
I think Cam feels that way also.
Yeah,
But
100%.
I don't think that no, because he's arrogant and he doesn't, it's
He's
not,
what?
he can arrogant, and it's not fathom to him. He's not thinking, oh, maybe they might not be loyal. He's thinking, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, obviously, that, like most men do when they run around balancing different women, is that he got everybody under control and ain't nobody gonna do nothing they shouldn't do. That is how I think men who act like that or who move like that think. They don't never think that somebody's gonna be disloyal to them in a situation like that. So that's why they do what they do, because they ain't worried about nobody going nowhere. My opinion.
No, I can agree with that 100%. And also think about it like this: even if they weren't loyal, I mean, what can they do to him financially? I mean, other than child support, they're not married to him. I mean, marriage on its face, on paper, a horrible investment, the worst investment, worse than a restaurant for a man with money. But a man with status, oh man, that's the dumbest thing ever, man. I mean, for real. I heard one time like that people would, everybody when you hear a man say he's gonna get married, most people say why, where when a woman says she gonna get married, everybody asks congratulations, because men are like no looking at other men like, damn Jay, like why, bro? Like you have it so good. She moved, y'all shacked up, y'all have kids, y'all doing your thing. Why you gotta put paper on it? Because at the end of the day, that's something about that paper. It changes people to where they start to see like, oh wow, I don't really need him. I can kind of, it's like a la carte. I can have a burger without the fries. I can have him and his money without him. So per se, to what you said about your homegirl who likes to live in her own house and have her own space, or how Carolyn likes to have her own space and it's like that's kind of what a divorce looks like to a woman. I can have him without him. Ooh, this is genius.
Yo,
That's
you made
amazing.
it. You used the term earlier. You used the term earlier. You said real marriage. Define that.
Well, for me personally, you asked me. A real marriage is a covenant. It's a covenant with God. It's not about two people. It's about three people. It's about us fearing and believing and trusting and leaning in God. And that might sound real weird and foreign and outdated. Marriage would ever make sense to me. If a friend of mine asked me or told me he was getting married, I would ask him why. If my son asked me he was gonna get married, like, yo, why? And if you had no God in their marriage, bro, just do some iced tea cocoa shit. Just be friends and kick it and have that forever and a day. That could work. We know people that kind of have a person that they've always been with, and it works. But like for real, like if you don't believe in God, man, by all means, don't put no vows on it. Because it's not really about the paperwork. It's about the vows for me. Because anybody
So
can
say like
put paperwork
so
on something.
I'm gonna challenge you on that. Can an atheist get married?
Nah, not in my book. An atheist can marry. An atheist is married. But my point so this is what I heard in your question, and you check me, of course. Will it be successful? Will it be a successful marriage? Nah, nah.
Okay, I
Because
would
you're
define
not afraid of
successful.
nothing. You're not
Does
afraid of nothing.
it is successful to you meaning it didn't end in divorce?
It's gonna definitely end in divorce.
Okay. Oh, I mean, is that how you're defining success?
Exactly, 100%.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Are you going to be
All
able
right.
to are you going to be able to cure traumas in your family with this atheist marriage if y'all not equally yoked? Are y'all going to be able to build a legacy with an atheist? Not in my book. I mean, it's cute though.
Interesting.
Y'all can get a couple years with that, but not really because at the end of the day, marriage is rough, bruh. It's not. I wouldn't. It's a contact sport. It's rough. I would never. I would never. I'm in the school of thought believing that I don't think everybody should get married. Oops. I don't think it's not for everybody. You
Marriage
know what I
isn't
mean?
for
It is not
everybody.
for everybody.
But let me ask you guys this. A couple things you said that I want to make a couple points on. One being what marriage is to you, how you define marriage, as a Christian man, believing in that covenant and, having that marriage between you, your wife, and God. However, and I'm a Christian, but I know that a lot of people don't get married for that reason. So I don't think that most people get married for that reason. Because if most people were getting married for that reason, I think we would see a much smaller percentage of divorces than we have now. So that, and I was talking to my mom earlier about this, who's a Christian woman, very spiritual, raised me in the church or raised us. And she was kind of saying the same thing. But I said, hey, mom, most marriages are not built on that foundation of the covenant that God created marriage for. She said marriage is created as a covenant between a man and a woman so that they can be together without living in sin. That's another point she made. So that they could be together without living in sin, because none of us, if we're Christian, are supposed to be having sex outside of marriage, but all of us have and all of us do. So my pushback to that is, again, I don't think people are getting married so that they can, so they can be wholly in their marriage, or like they are saving themselves for marriage, and so they get married so they can finally, come together as one physically, as well as all the other ways that you merge whenever you get married. What do you guys think about that?
Is it
I mean,
possible?
I don't think there are a lot of Christians out there under that definition. There are a lot of fake Christians. I mean, I don't think all doctors really are benevolent. Do we have to say that too? Like, I don't think every doctor is benevolent. They didn't sit there and go, "I'm gonna save lives." No, they trying to get a check. They in it for the money, and I'm not mad at that either. But there are a lot of Christians out there that fake. Bro. Before I was even a Christian or saved, I was smashing girls like pastor daughters like nothing.
But
If
let's
I would
stay
have
on
heard you as a
topic
man,
though.
I, I,
Let's stay on
I
the
feel
topic
like
of
I,
marriage
I
being
feel
outdated.
I feel like we're saying that it being it's interesting. We're talking about. I feel like we're saying that you can't be unless you have a relationship with a God, then you're not going to be able to have or a successful marriage or to get married. Like I don't like. What about? Can't you be committed to somebody without being married?
I think so.
I don't think that's human, in my opinion. I don't think that's human. I think if you're an alcoholic or if you're trying to lose weight, you need support. You need something that's gonna hold you accountable. Because I
If
don't
I'm
think a lot of
committed to
people.
a partner and we're not married, that doesn't mean I don't have support. They're supporting me.
Yeah, but seasons change. Sometimes you can go. You and your marriage can go through your own summer, and she could be going through her winter, and then y'all don't know how to connect to each other anymore. But if you have the Son, which is God, that's keeping y'all in line, that's how y'all can find each other again. How many times have you? I mean, I'm not saying you, but I can tell you how many times I've been approached in a lot of failed relationships where people told me, "Man, we just not connecting anymore. I'm not happy. I feel like we don't know each other." And it's funny because you have all this proximity with somebody, and in some cases, in my case, I've lived with people where they became strangers in certain seasons, and I was like, "Damn, how did this happen?" But my point is, I wasn't
What,
yoked with nobody at that time, and I
what
didn't
if you
believe in
just
anything bigger than myself at that time.
what if you just have a strong sense of being able to understand that there is going to be up and down seasons, and that you're committed to just working through that.
Some people aren't though. It takes two to
I'm
make to
not
get
asking who are. I'm asking what if you are?
but
Can
what
you
if she's
be in a
not?
successful relationship?
What
Can
if
you be in
she's
a
not?
committed relationship?
What if
Huh?
she's not? What if
Well,
she's not?
I'm saying here.
No,
You've already
bro, you
talked.
can't have
You've
one
already
question and
talked.
not.
Whoa, Eddie. You've already said you can't have it both ways. You've
You
already
have it both
said
ways.
that
What if she's
you
not?
are because you're
How
saying that
you are
if
cool,
you don't
you
have a
are, but how
God, you
about if she's
can't
not?
be. You're saying without a God, you can't be in a committed relationship. I'm saying there is. First of all, there's proof that people who are atheists or don't have a strong religious faith that they've been in relationships and committed relationships for long periods of time. But I'm going to leave that alone. What
Oh,
I'm asking is
I have. I'm
if
one of
two
them,
people are
but I've never
committed
been
to
married before.
working through the things that you're saying, if they're committed to that, why can't we deem their relationship successful? Right? They're doing it without having a central religious figure. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I'm not saying that if you don't have one, it can't be done.
In
Yeah,
my
I
estimation,
don't think that either. I think that two people can make a commitment to each other as life partners, um, without having to get married. I just don't. Why do you have to get married if you're like? Let's just talk about it from like your fiance. Like you guys are engaged, so you're engaged, and then you eventually get married. Now, when you were engaged, were you any less committed to each other before you actually went through the ceremony of marriage, or is it just that now that we have professed our love in front of God and friends and family, there that takes it to another level of commitment? And I'm asking for the people who are married, who have been married, because I haven't been married. So I'm asking, like, did your commitment level change once you got married from when you were just engaged? And if so, why?
not for me. Not for me. I think you're asking me what changed for me is
That's right.
when my kids came, because I think I went from falling in love, and then when I had my kids, I became love. I know that's a weird thing to say. I became love, and then I got a glimpse that this is probably, and this sounds weird. I know I'm disclaimer is weird. When I got my kids and when I saw my kids come out, as crazy and visual as that was, I became love. And in that process of becoming love, I became closer to God. And the word started connecting with everything, became spiritual, everything to how we were together and how we were married and how we were raising these kids. And then I became more afraid of knowing what could happen if I didn't stay in the place that I needed to stay to make this successful. And I know successful is such a business word, but that's my point. You need to be that afraid for you to be successful of failing as a husband, as a as a father. Because I think on the earthly, this is why we playing away games before we even start to play. Because the way we socialize as a relationship, and Jay said it a long time ago, which is my favorite philosopher is Chris Rock too. A man is only as good as what he brings to the table. If he loses his job, his value is done. And a woman is socialized to know that. But real love, what you're taught from the word, taught from God himself, you know that you're already valuable without a job, without your hoop dream, without things failing, all this. Because a lot of women marry man for potential. Ain't nobody marry a man usually like, oh, because they want Cam because he's Cam. They want Nick because he's Nick. They ain't checking for him when he was like coming up or interning, working for somebody. Nobody really checking for that. And they wouldn't probably be down with having his kid if he wasn't Nick Cannon at the time. And I think everyone socializes that way. But and I know I'm sounding like a preacher now, forgive me, man. But it's like, my point is that you can be successful. I was in a 6-year relationship when I was an atheist, when I didn't believe in God. And it was a good relationship. I messed it up. And we could have got married and whatever, I messed it up. But that's because I wasn't afraid of her. And I wasn't afraid of the relationship. And I wasn't even afraid of myself at the time. But my point is, now I've gone pro. And when I mean pro, I mean I got 3 kids, a house, and shoes and all this stuff that I'm like accountable for, to where I know that God is the only one that's helping me up, propping me up, waking me up every day, to where I know, like, man, I can't fail. I almost feel like I'm in the playoffs every day. I'm like, man, I can't lose this.
And I think that's important. But again, not everybody moves in their marriage like that. I'm not saying they should or shouldn't. I'm a Christian, so I believe that they should. But I also understand that most people do not.
100%.
If they did, our divorce rates would be much lower than what they are now. So
I think the divorce rate is a little deeper than surface. But Ken, I don't mean to cut you off, but hop on. I want to know what some of your responses that you got from your joint yesterday.
What do you mean?
You said you went the poll. You said you got some interesting responses.
Oh, some interesting like dialogue as far as like comments on it.
Yeah.
Okay, one thing I noticed. I mean, those were like phone conversations. They weren't like on IG or anything like that. One thing I talked about with a guy friend of mine that said, and he was married before and is divorced, and he answered no. Also, just so you know, all of the no's, I think we're at 50-50 now. When we started the show, we were at like 55-45. Somebody else voted while we were talking on the show, as far as marriage being outdated. But he said that marriage is outdated because, again, when push come to shove and times got hard, people run.
Facts.
People take the easy way out. Facts. Marriage is a level of commitment that I don't think people really actually understand.
Facts.
Because if you did, perhaps you would not be divorced. Not to say, like, I'm not saying divorce is wrong, because I personally, if I were married and I were unhappy in my marriage, I'm not going to stay in a marriage where I'm miserable. Just not going to do it. You know,
that part.
Love God.
But hold on though. Hold on. See, you just said you wouldn't stay in a marriage if you were unhappy. Hey, Eddie or Jay, what is part of that covenant that said when you go in front of God and you talk about what's in there? Isn't there something about being set through happiness, or just isn't there something in there that kind of speaks to that?
Long story short, it's supposed to be y'all ain't supposed to break, y'all ain't supposed to get divorced, period.
Mm-hmm.
My point is that to you, and I'm Ken, and I'm not jumping on you saying what you're saying, because you should always be okay with how you would move in this, that, and the third. So I'm not saying.
Oh,
I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people feel like you. If I ain't happy, I'm out. But we just said in a marriage, there are going to be times where you're going to be unhappy. The point of, and this is where people don't understand that it's more than a piece of paper. When you're unhappy, you don't get to leave.
Right.
You don't get to roll the fuck out. When you're unhappy, that's when it's, and see, that's why I feel like athletes have a pretty good understanding of or should, I would think, of marriage, because nobody's ever gone undefeated in any sport. You've gone through a loss, bro. You've lost, but you bounce the fuck back. In a marriage, you're gonna take some L's. There's gonna be times when you're like, yo, I don't like this motherfucker. I don't like you right now. I love you, but I don't like you right now. And people talk about, oh, I get married. But no, love is the foundation. That kind of keeps you there. But your promise to God through everything is what says, when I'm unhappy, all right, I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna like this dude again, because he's getting on my last nerve.
But
And
there's more
that's what we're saying.
incentive.
And so, to your point, Carolyn, a lot of people are like, I'm not staying nowhere where I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Well, then
facts.
a lot of us ain't, if a lot of us taking that attitude, marriage is in trouble.
A lot of us have that attitude, and that's why a lot of us have gotten divorced, and marriage
Right.
is in fact in trouble.
And Jenny,
Right.
there's more
All this
incentive. There's more
studies show
incentive
that
for
marriage
women.
is. I mean,
More
we're
incentive.
having a discussion about marriage being outdated, but if you look at the stats and what they say, we're getting married 60% less of the time now than we were like 40 or 50 years ago.
Well, and see, hold on. I don't. This is the thing. Before we go on and start, now I keep telling people this. We have got to stop comparing what's going on today with our parents and our grandparents. Number one reason is, women, you have rights. I was born in 1978. In 1978, it was still okay to discriminate against a woman because she was pregnant.
Mm.
Dude, like, let's think about that for a second. Like, up until the early 80s, y'all didn't have full rights as a human being in the United States. So with that said, you didn't have a choice as an adult human being. If you couldn't get a job, you had to get married. And you had to put up with your husband having a family down the street.
Facts.
And you were going to be with that man forever, because what, you want to get a divorce with 3 kids and do what?
I understand that 100%, but we got to compare it to history a little bit, because the topic is marriage outdated? And
I think we can compare it to the concept, but you got to understand, marriage itself, it's two different, the worlds are different. Women got married for different reasons back then than they have now. Like the way y'all talking, huh?
I think men got married for different reasons back then than they did now too. I think back then marriage for men, a lot of it was about control. That's why women couldn't vote. That's why women couldn't get a loan without a man's signature. That's why women didn't have the rights that they should have had as equal human beings, because there was a control piece.
Okay.
That's in my opinion.
Whatever. I'm not saying you're wrong. Whatever. I'm not old enough to speak on that. I gotta call my dad and be like, "Yo, was you trying to control my dukes or what?"
No, we gotta go back a little further than that.
Well, even grandpops. Yeah. My point is that we can't compare now to then, because you all have a freedom it's unparalleled. It's not the same. So you can make a decision and say, I'm not happy, I'm out, and go live in your big ass house, take all your trips, you can live. You couldn't do that thing. And I'm telling you right now, if you were living back then, I don't know if you could take that approach.
Okay, well, since I am living like this now, why would I get married? Let me ask you guys something. As men, do you think if you could get the same benefits that you want. Like, I don't know. I think every man is different. I think every man is different as far as their reason for getting married. So this may be kind of a hard question to answer. But if you could get whatever value in marriage that you were seeking when you got married without actually getting married, would you get married?
Fuck yeah.
Okay, so you would.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell y'all the reality. Again, I liken this to playing craps. Yo, we're in a lose-lose situation. There's nothing advantageous about getting married. If I marry you, it's because I like you.
Hell yeah.
And I want to be around you, and I don't want to be around anybody else.
Especially
I'm
because
willing to put up with your ups and downs. I'm willing to put up with all the bullshit that comes with you, but I'm also willing to put up with all the great things that you come with, right? Because I'm telling you right now, there is nothing that says, oh yeah, I should do this. Right? There's just nothing about marriage right now that says financially, this is a smart decision. And let's think about what men provide. A large part of the safety and security we provide is based on our ability to make money and provide what? A home, put food on the table, take care of the kids, good education, which education wise right now is so goddamn expensive. Let's keep it funky. There's no way around this. So if I'm choosing to get married, it's because I like you.
Okay, so why do people still cheat in their marriages? Why do men cheat?
Because you hoes start acting crazy. I'm
No.
just playing.
Somebody stop giving up. Someone
I was
stop.
on a roll.
I
Let me cook
mean,
for a little bit. I was on a roll. I'm
I
just
mean,
playing. There's a
make
number of
that
different
make
reasons
sense to
why.
me. Like you are saying there's no benefit to a man to get married at this day and age, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just repeating what you said.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yet men are still getting married. They're still asking women to marry them, but yet they're getting married and they're cheating in their marriage, or they're getting married and they're not
Hold
treating
up.
their wife correctly.
Hold up. Why'd you just say men? As if women
Like
don't
it
cheat
ain't
also.
like it's always our fault.
I'm just
Okay, I'm sorry.
curious.
Partners who get married, because we're talking about asking a woman to marry from a man's
Right, but
perspective.
that doesn't mean y'all do it that y'all act like y'all come ready. Y'all are built because you're a woman. Y'all are built to be married. Like fuck out of here.
I don't think that at all.
Okay, so
I
to Jay's
personally,
point, why do you think it's a man's fault that a divorce happens,
I didn't say that.
or she?
What I was talking about was because a man has to ask a woman to marry them. And you were talking about how if as a man you are getting married to a woman, it's because you like them, you love them, you're ready to be all in and dedicated. And I'm saying if that were why, if that's the reason why men are getting married, then when they get into the marriages, why are they acting like fools?
Because we
Because
stopped
they're
liking
human
you.
and
And you know
flawed.
why we stopped liking you? Jay, pick it up for me. Take this. I'm gonna let you cook. Take it
Because we're
away, Jay.
human and we're flawed and things happen. Cheating just is something that you're not supposed to do. It's called cheating because it's breaking the rules. In marriage, everyone breaks rules at some point in time. You're not supposed to lie. Husbands and wives lie to themselves, lie to each other all the time. Hell, they lie to themselves too. There's all types of things that happen in a marriage that aren't supposed to happen. But because it is a union of two flawed individuals, it's going to be twice as much flawed shit happening. And because you're not supposed to get divorced, those two flawed individuals are supposed to look at their flaws internally and externally, analyze them, and work that shit out so they can get it right and live happily ever after and be the example of the best type of relationship possible to others that are, that are either single or dating or blah, et cetera, et cetera. The whole purpose of marriage is supposed to be the penultimate relationship type. It is supposed to be one sanctioned by God, one that is blessed and one that is supposed to stand the test of time because of the spiritual foundation as well as the commitment that regardless of what happens, we are going to work it out, figure it out, and make it work. No other relationship has those things going for it.
I got you, and I don't disagree with what you said, but do you think that that mindset in terms of what marriage is supposed to be truly is what most people have when they're getting married or considering getting married?
I think people all have their own ideas of what marriage is supposed to be. We all have seen and been shown that perfect example of marriage. We've all been, it's been force fed to us through media, you know what I'm saying? Just, historically, it's been there. Now, how much a person prescribes to it is going to dictate how much a person wants that. And then if they get it, how much energy they put towards it.
Let me piggyback off that, Jay. Let me tell you something that a lot of folks won't tell you or really understand. Marriage brings out who the fuck you really are.
Woof. Amen.
And what I mean by that is that there's a lot of stuff that we hide deep down that we never want to come to the surface. There's a lot of stuff that we don't even know that we do subconscious that we do, and we're doing it subconsciously that we don't know that affects how we deal with the opposite sex, or if you're in a gay marriage, whatever. We'll just speak in generalities, how it affects the other person. I know for a fact that I was a victim of that. Not a victim, but that's what happened to me. What I'm saying is that when you get into a marriage and you start dealing with another person and you're committed to it, you start finding out who you are as a person, as a real adult. What the shit you thought you didn't think you would tolerate, or things that you thought you wouldn't do, maybe those are the things that you really start to do because you have to be yourself in a marriage. There is no more hiding. Literally, that honeymoon stage really ends, right? And then you get into the routine of being with somebody every day. It is the hardest job in the world, like Eddie said. And that job, it brings out who you are. And sometimes it's some things that you don't even know that exist in you that you think, oh my God, I might need to address this. So to Jay's point, there's going to be some things about you or some flaws that come out. How are you going to deal with those flaws, and how are you going to deal with those flaws in connection to your mate? And these are the things that happen in a marriage that you can't anticipate reading. It's like raising a child. There are things that book about raising children, there's some shit that ain't in there that you're going to find out the hard way. It's some shit that your parents ain't tell you that you're going to find out on the job training. Marriage is the same way. The hard thing about the difference between a child raising children and being in a marriage, you can't tell your partner what to do.
I understand that. I want to make sure though, because we're talking a lot about marriage, but and that's okay. But the topic is marriage outdated? So
right, but we're talking about
into marriage being outdated or not?
Because if it being outdated, when we're talking about being outdated, some people know that they're not fit for that. Some people know that, you know what, I'm not fit to be around another human 24 hours a day.
Facts. I think that's the point, though. I think that's a great. I think we're outdated. I think everything a la carte. Because to Jay's point, the reason I've always cheated on every relationship I've ever been on, I'll tell the truth, is because the consistency fell off. She stopped giving head. She stopped performing. And I took it personally. I was like that, and I didn't know how to talk. I didn't know how to express myself at that time. So I was like, oh, wow, it's been a week. You ain't done nothing. You just gonna roll. You just gonna go to sleep, huh? Well, when we was first together, we was smashing every day and twice on Sunday. Why all of a sudden a week can go by, 2 weeks can go by, and the sex be lazy, the head is like non-existent, all of a sudden I'm gonna step out because I feel like, all right, you ain't doing your part. Let me go ahead and step out. And I never felt sorry for any of the things I cheated on because I felt like for me, I married you for who you are. And this is who I thought you were. I didn't know you was a chick that could just like go a month, go 2 weeks without even noticing I've been in the house.
Did it ever occur to you? and you know I love you to death, so don't take this as a
Oh
personal
no, I put myself out there.
attack.
We about to get spicy.
But
We
did
about to
it
get
ever occur to
spicy.
you that perhaps there was something that you were doing within the relationship or not doing that made her withdraw the sex or made
Hold on.
feel less
I'm gonna add on to that
desirable?
question, Carolyn.
What?
That's a great question. And hey, did she say anything?
I'll say this, and we getting graphic, right? We can talk. It's almost 9 o'clock. The kids are sleeping. So my point is this: is that I know the sex was good, but I think what ends up happening when a woman, and this is my experience, not every woman, but every woman I've ever been with, once they get settled, and I hate that word settled, they get lazy. They stop. Men, we have it in our head. We made it to the playoffs. I want to win another ring next year. I want to win a Super Bowl every year. But most women like, we won one. We good. And it's like this lazy mentality when they get to that level where they like stop doing all that. They stop cooking as much. They stop cleaning as much. They stop participating as much. They let themselves go. They don't do their hair no more. It's like, damn, what happened? And then you ask questions like, is everything all right? And they're like, I'm just good. This is me. This is me. And I'm like, oh. And it's like what Jay said. All of a sudden, you're revealing yourself because the last 2 years before we got together, I didn't know this was you. You was, it was on and popping every time, and everything was the way I thought it was when we was at your apartment when you were living with me for them 2 years. Now we together. All of a sudden, like you falling off, you getting lazy, and you're not expressing
But
yourself
can
because for
we
me,
agree? But can we agree that that works both ways?
I don't
Men,
think so.
y'all don't keep doing the things that y'all was doing before y'all actually got us. Let's just be real. Like y'all don't continue to get flowers. Y'all don't continue to try to woo and court the way that you do when you're trying to get the woman. So I think that that goes both ways, and maybe both parties feel a way about that. Like, oh, you didn't do like I was dating a guy and like I just went back in the text thread and like the way he was texting when he was pursuing me, just the frequency, the things he was saying is starkly different from when we started to like just be like normal, like get into like an everyday routine as far as our communication, what we're doing.
You mean routine as being consistent?
I just mean routine as in you got me now, so you're no longer trying to impress me because I've let you know you got me. So now you're
I was just making a point about the word consistent.
oh
You wanted him to continue to be persistent in his pursuance of you romantically.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I use that as an example to say to Eddie, I think that goes both ways. Like I don't think that's just women stop doing the things that they were doing prior to. I think that men get comfortable and they do it as well. And I think that that is a catalyst to why people start to pull away
That's not
from
the
their
reason. That's
relationship.
not the reason. That's not the
I
reason.
think it's the only
That
reason, but I
that
think that
that's
is
a
the
that's a
reason.
that's the symptom. The reason is we don't communicate that to each other and
Okay.
then work through.
Yeah.
That's the reason.
Okay.
And we sit there silently, we suffer in silence, and then say, "Fucking, I'm out."
100%.
That's the part that I'm talking about. That's the work. Yo, you not fucking me like you used to. What's the deal? What's wrong? Wait, am I not? Am I boring now? Yo, yeah, nigga, I'm not fucking you like you used to because you used to bring me flowers. You used to make me feel sexy. You used to do this, that, and the third. All right, let's figure out how we can get it back to that.
I don't disagree with you on that.
That's why y'all quit. Not because it happened, because that's a human thing to do. You fall back into your regular scheduled events. Life happens. The problem is the communication part. I tell y'all all the time, everybody thinks they're a great communicator. You're fucking not. We are terrible communicators as humans. We are terrible.
Okay. So let's talk about this. What are and we touched on this a little bit earlier, but I don't think we got into it from both sides. What are the benefits of marriage for a man? what do you get out of marriage as a man? Why you guys? We got two married, one divorced, but you would get married again, right, Jay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Financially, it could work dope if I'm about to start some shit.
Start it.
If if
Smoking.
if you could go 50-50.
Okay.
If you can get married and go and your partner agrees to go 50-50, it's an interesting financial situation you walk into.
Okay. So one of the benefits of getting married from a man's
Hold on.
perspective.
Let me add on to that. If you don't go 50-50, and let's just say I take care of everything, she's got to be taking her money and doing something and creating instruments of income for us.
Okay. So financial support. That's one of the things.
Right.
Like if you marry a woman that's making money,
Two incomes is always better than one. It don't matter how much you make.
I agree. Okay, that's fair. All right, what else? So you can come up financially if you get married.
But you could do that single. You could do that just like with a partner too.
I'm not saying you can't. I
Oh,
think
okay,
marriage
okay.
is
We
out.
talking about marriage though.
Okay, okay. I see.
Consistent safe sex.
Say it
Oh
again.
yeah.
Consistent safe sex,
Consistent
assuming that
safe
neither
sex.
one of you and assuming that you've gotten to a mature state in your sexual relationship where you can have those conversations.
You shouldn't be marrying nobody that you can't have that conversation with, but that's a whole nother story.
Hold on, Carolyn. Let's keep the sidebar. Let's keep it funky. In any of your relationships and the sex got shitty, did you sit that man down and say, "Hey, nigga, this shit is whack"?
The sex never got shitty. That was never a reason that I got out of a relationship.
Oh, okay. Did it get shitty for him?
Unicorn alert.
If he did, he didn't. I very much doubt that was the case, but I don't know. If he did, he didn't communicate that to me. Seriously doubt that was the case.
Unicorn sighting.
That's you tooting that horn of yours. I ain't mad at you though.
Like you don't do the same thing.
I've never said sex to me is gonna be on point every time. I've had some duds. I've laid in there.
I don't think that's a reason that a guy had an issue with me.
Hey, look, Eddie, I've nailed it in every once in a while. I ain't gonna hold you.
And if it was, it was never communicated, which goes back to communication problem. You just threw me off. Okay, fine. Safe, consistent sex, financial, there's financial
freedom.
Okay, so what
support
else?
and love and knowing that you got a cheerleader.
Yeah, but then more importantly for me,
if that person is that.
Well, why are you marrying them if they're not?
Well, they can stop being that. I'm telling you, the honeymoon is an interesting place.
Okay. What else? Anything else?
Honestly, for me, the integrity of knowing that you're creating a new tradition, in my case, a new tradition, because we don't have successful marriages in my family, but I can create a tradition for my kids to follow from, to know that.
Cheers to that, Eddie. Cheers to that.
My mom and dad love each other. Like I make a point to make my wife laugh every day. Every day. She's funny as hell. We do silly stuff. The kids see it, and they see us resolve issues and stuff. And I know our hope is that when they get older and fall in love, that they can, see that that's a good starting point. Because I think my problem and even my wife's problem is that we didn't come from that. We came from the opposite of that. We came from a toxic house and dysfunction. And we had to really understand who we were before we got to that space of where we can make it work. But my point is that there's so much integrity in that, to where you can create a bond with someone. I don't want to say it the wrong way, but y'all know me when I say this. I mean, when I find out that someone went to college, I don't think, oh wow, this guy's smart. I say to myself, this guy followed through with something. And there's something to when people say, oh wow, Carolyn and Joey been married for X plus years. Wow, they together. They really building. Because a lot of times that says a lot about sometimes to the world, like, oh wow, this guy's really building with somebody. Because there's a lot of, and I always say this, y'all gonna hear me, it's gonna sound annoying if not too late. There's a lot of dying that has to happen to live in the space of marriage. And the dying part is the problem that people don't want to do. There's too much freedom. So you have to kind of give up to be successful in the space of marriage. And some people they don't like that.
So like creating a legacy. Okay, I can get behind that. I don't know, if most men feel that way. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
The raising the
You get
kid part is
you get
huge.
24-hour access to another perspective from a person that you have to accept and you can't reject. Having a spouse 24/7, it will literally change who you are because you are what you see, what you hear, what you experience. That person will literally imprint on you and have you saying things you don't usually say, you wouldn't normally say, doing things you don't normally do, making choices you wouldn't normally make. It literally changes you. And if you marry the right person, it will change you for the better. Like
I
while
like
you guys were talking, I was thinking about that. I was like, I've been put on to things that single, I'd be like, I ain't even thinking about that. I ain't checking for it. You know what I'm saying?
that.
Just ways of looking at things. It's like it's a whole lifestyle add-on.
Mm.
Like I said, if you marry the right person, that's a huge plus. It could be a huge win.
Even in divorce, I know my ex-wife upgraded me in many different ways.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like even in divorce, like even like Jason, you become a better person if you marry the right person, right?
If you marry a
Yeah,
black
like
woman, she's gonna sprinkle that black girl magic on you and upgrade your ass.
always.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Listen,
Anyway,
fact.
what
But
else?
I think it's like owning a gun. Like what Jay Mitch was saying, it's almost like owning a gun. Like right now, me and my wife, we're actually buying another property, and then this Friday we sitting down at closing, with the banker. And I looked at the contract, and I knew like I didn't really have to read it thoroughly because I know my wife is a beast with contracts, and I know when we sit down with the lawyers, my wife is gonna beat the hell out of these people. I don't got to do nothing but write a check. And I love that. Ain't nothing beautiful. It's like playing with LeBron. It's like I can throw this shot up and know he's gonna get the rebound. Ain't nothing more beautiful than that. Because if it was just me, Dolo, me, myself, and I would be like nervous as fuck. I'd be on YouTube trying to learn some shit, reaching out to you, Carolyn. Yo, what's this word mean? You know what I mean? Like, they trying to get me here? Is this clause mean that? Like, I'd be nervous as hell. But knowing that you have somebody like, they always tell you as an athlete, and I'm telling y'all like y'all don't know, is to work on your left hand like to make it as strong as your right hand. And it's a beautiful place when you get to that left hand becomes more better than the right hand. And your game is insane. And when you marry, that's where you get. You're like, oh damn, I got no weak hand right now.
Oh,
I
I
can go either
like
way.
that analogy.
yeah,
Okay,
that's a dope
so
analogy.
then we have all of those things in just a committed relationship that doesn't involve walking down the aisle and exchanging vows and having the piece of paper. Yes or no?
Yeah, I think you can.
You can.
Okay.
I think you can. And I ain't gonna hold you. It might be safer from a financial standpoint for me. I think that's gonna be. I promise you. I think that's what's gonna be the new marriage in the future.
Shit. Now.
It's not really a marriage, just a long-term commitment.
I, it don't have to be a real marriage. I'm not doing marriage. I'm doing long-term commitment.
Well, a lot of my nieces and nephews they change the language. They say they believe that you don't have the problem with, and this is what they believe, and it kind of makes sense. The problem with the reason there's so much failure in marriage is the ownership part of it. They believe in this new age that you need to experience people, not own them. So to your point, Jay, that's kind of what's going on now. Because the fact that I can own someone is the problem that people have. Like, you own me. I got a cosign to get this. I got to, this, that, and the third. Where it's feel like, let me just experience this, man. And if I care to experience somebody else next week, it is what it is. And everybody just cool with it. So the experiencing part, I call it a la carte, but that's the experiencing part of what's going on in marriage now. And some people love it.
I thought the term was fluid.
I know that happens in bed.
I'm trying to have an a la carte relationship. I like that term. I want my men a la carte. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Man, like, listen, that's what it is now. And I don't, I can't, you know, it's interesting as we grow older, we were at some point we were the newest generation, and our ideas and how we looked at things were abstract to our parents and our grandparents. Example, hip hop, right? And look where hip hop came into. My point is that they may be on to something, right? So that as the world changes, you have to adapt. And the institution of marriage fit, like a lot of our laws on the books were created at a time that they don't make sense now. There's a website where there are weird laws in each state. Like in Georgia, you can't give head. Some bullshit. Like you
Really?
can go, yeah,
Damn.
like jail time.
Shit,
Is
I'm
that
moving back to
practical?
Virginia then. I'm moving back to
Yeah,
Virginia.
that's what I'm saying. Like that's not practical. So we have to evolve. We have to be able to say or look at the institution in itself and say, is this working? And if it doesn't work or it's not working for you, be okay because society and our traditions, and tradition is an interesting word, in our traditions, we think this is what we're supposed to do.
You know
Right?
what's
Like,
crazy?
and especially our parents, why aren't you, like, if you're not married and there's something wrong with you, the fuck out of here. There's nothing wrong with me. Like that's an outdated attitude and approach to being in a relationship and marriage. It's not
Yeah,
fair.
you brought up polygamy before. I actually have friends, literally, I just talked to them very recently, that like dating married men because they love the idea that they can still keep their freedom and then once in a while go on vacation with this married man, smash off this married man, and they can have their own separate compartment of life. And I remember like just listening to my homegirl going, wow, that's kind of clever because it's almost like a diet relationship. It's like I don't gotta have all I can have all the fun without all the stress. And she's dating two married guys. So when one is booked up, the other one got it. And it's funny because if you go to her apartment, you be thinking, yo, who bought that? Who bought that? This guy, this guy. I'm like, damn. So she living the life. But
So
other people get
outside of
jealous.
the moral, if you are a Christian and the moral implications of someone moving like that, which I don't see how women could be held to a certain standard that men aren't held to because men move in ways like that all the time. What's wrong with that? If
I
she's
don't think
happy, if they're happy, if there's peace outside of the moral, if you're a Christian, you believe that's wrong for sleeping with a married man. Outside of that, what's wrong with that situation?
I'm not one
Hey,
to judge
listen,
nobody. I love her to death.
Nothing's
She
me
wrong.
neither.
told me I love her. I'm not judging
Hey,
nobody.
I
She
will be
found a
the first
happy.
one to tell you, you should be selfish about your happiness.
She found a
I agree
happy.
100%. Okay, so let's talk about, because we don't have a ton of time left, and I want to talk about what are the benefits of marriage for a woman. Why should I get married? Why should I marry one of you?
No, we need to ask some women because I mean, shit, for y'all, off the break, money.
Okay.
If you
Yeah.
can find a man that got dough and you don't like, and he's a herb, you can make him feel like he likes you, suck him in, marry him,
Who does
and
it
and,
matter
and
if you
siphon it and
keep up with
siphon his ass.
there's no peace in that situation if it's a facade. Like there's like
Sure, there's peace. You're,
anybody, which should be most people who are used to pretending and not being able to take the mask off in situations, especially long term, will tell you that that is exhausting. No one is going to be able to keep up with that type of movement long term. I mean,
who said it's long term? I'm telling you, I'm not. You're not hearing me. They're not in it for the long term. They're in it for the money. They're going to divorce that dude at some point or
okay,
kill him.
Damn.
all right. So money.
This shit
What
got
else?
dark.
Got dark real quick, didn't it?
To women who are financially successful already, that's not going to work. That's not going to be as appealing. I mean, it's going to be appealing, but it's not going to be as appealing. So what else?
No financial women in a situation where they still want a man to take care of us.
I mean,
Let's
I'm
not assume.
independent. I pay my own bills, and I would love to have a man that took care of me. I would, but not if I have to sacrifice my happiness and my peace for it. Because I don't need it. I would love it, ideally. I already said, I tell men all the time, I have my own money. I can pay for all this shit, but I really prefer you to do it. It is what it is. You can think away of me because of that as a woman. You can think I'm a gold digger or whatever the case may be. I don't think it's just being honest. I think most women would say that. Now, will I treat a man? Yes. Have I? Absolutely. But when we're going somewhere and it's costing any money, I would much prefer that you paid instead of me. I would like to keep my money.
Carolyn, and this is where the take, you know, that whole question about what you bring to the table, right? That you hate. This is where it kind of gets relevant. When it comes to like if a man's going to marry you to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
We know how it benefits you.
Mm-hmm.
I think you know how it benefits you.
Well, we're stuck on money we haven't got
Well,
past.
I'm gonna give you a chance. You tell me how can if you had a chance right now, God said if you point out the man you want to marry, any man, you get to marry him free of charge. He's gonna. What are you? But what are you bringing to him? Why would he be so ecstatic to marry you?
I didn't say that he would.
No,
That's
no,
not
no.
what we're talking about right now.
No,
I'm
no,
not going to shift to
I
that
got
because
a,
you
I
know I
got
don't
a
answer
point to
that
make.
question.
I got a point to make. I got a point to make.
But you know that I'm not going to answer that question because I think that question is not warrant answering. Like,
So
I'm not gonna answer it.
and that's my point, right? And this goes back to why this shit is all outdated, right? To no man, like you, we could talk about the benefit. It benefits women wholesale, no matter what. There's no negative for a woman to get married. There is nothing
I don't
that
agree with
gets
that. There
presented.
is a negative because there are plenty married women who are unhappy. There are married women who are miserable.
You could have said no.
You could have said no.
And say okay, and
But,
then you're unhappy.
but
Hold on,
they didn't say no because of what
Carolyn.
the idea of what marriage is and what marriage
Carolyn,
is.
in your unhappiness, guess what you're gonna get paid for? Your unhappiness.
What?
When you decide that you want to leave that dude, guess who's gonna get paid?
I don't know. I guess it depends on the paperwork.
You know,
or whatever.
Courts are, and this is where I think courts are set up. Unless you are a nut job, you're getting alimony.
Facts.
Okay. We're still on money. So yes, I can marry a man and come up financially.
You're telling me no, you're just because you're unhappy, that doesn't mean you're not going to win.
Okay.
You at least listen. What Future say? You crying in that Lamborghini.
I am not arguing that point.
But that's what I'm saying. You talk about she's upset, she's this, that, and the man and the man. She's about to get paid.
Just that money, you can come up financially just like you can come up financially as a man. You guys stated that as a reason that a benefit that men would have. You are going to gain financially.
That's only if she decides to go 50-50. Remember, there's a caveat to that. Not every woman's going to decide to do that, and not every woman's going to decide to take her money and do something for the couple.
Okay.
There are men out here straight up supporting a whole other human being that has a job.
And not every woman are going to get out of a marriage and want alimony or try to take the man for everything he has either.
That's true, but most of the time, 90% of the time, that's what happens.
Okay, so can we agree that one of the benefits for women as far as getting married is just like men? There's a financial gain there.
No.
There's a potential financial gain there.
No.
There's not a potential financial gain there?
It's not the same.
You both
We're
can
not
gain
putting on the same level.
Okay, so not on the same level. We can put that in there. So as a woman, one of the benefits of me getting married is to come up financially in a much greater way than a man could come up financially by getting married. Is that what you're saying? Okay, I don't know if I agree with that 100%, but let's go with that. What else? Why else should I get married?
I don't know. You tell me. You a woman.
I can't think of any reasons. That's
Well,
why
health,
Well,
health,
God
I would
damn.
have
health.
been. I would have
Well,
been talking about
God
it.
damn.
I grew up believing. I grew up in the church. I grew up believing that marriage was this sacred thing, and it's not that I don't. I believe that's what God intended it to be. Do I believe that people are getting married based on that? No. And so, therefore, can I not make the decision as a woman to say, I'm not getting married because I do believe in God. I do believe that divorce is wrong, except in the circumstances where it's okay to get divorced, and there are a couple in the Bible. Then can I not say I don't want to put myself in that position, because I know that if I get in a situation and I decide that I am not happy, I'm not going to stay in a marriage in which I'm not happy.
But when you're not happy, you're supposed to just talk to him and y'all work out the situation to where you're happy.
Does it work like that?
It's
Absolutely.
supposed to,
Why
yeah.
are so many people divorced then? Or
Because they don't know
miserable
how to
in their
talk.
marriages?
For many
Don't know how
reasons.
to. Yeah.
But go ahead, E.
No, I was saying, man, we learned how to pray together. That was the big thing. Me and my wife, whenever, we went to a bunch of marriage boot camps and counseling and stuff. And one of the things that we go through whenever we go through that moment where it's like a stalemate, we just pray together. And in the prayer, we start to say things in the prayer that make sense to, it's like the most vulnerable moment that we have. And it all comes out in the prayer, like what we're praying for in terms of what we want out of this argument. And you'd be surprised how vulnerable it is, because you almost get, most people compare prayer to meditation, but it's a state of you just saying everything you're feeling to God in front of someone else, like a
Yeah.
total confessional. And in that confessional, the most vulnerable moment, you could be in your feelings, of course, and that person hears like, oh wow, that's what he's going through. So it wasn't about the dishes. It wasn't about, whatever. And all of a sudden, y'all start to grow from that, in the prayer. Because at the end of the day, a prayer flies where words fail. Because at the end of the day, we all been in a situation where we don't hear each other. But then when we have like a safe word, it'd be like, you know what, let's pray on this. And we hold each other's hands, bow down and pray. Man, and I'm not trying to put any religion on y'all. I'm just talking about what I do. But my
Yeah, you
point
are.
is no, I'm just speaking the truth, because so what
Eddie
Jay
out
Nick
here
was
leading
saying,
cults.
Okay. We got
Eddie out here got a
chiropractors
cult and
after this,
shit.
y'all.
yo,
Bring it to
facts.
the light, E.
But I
I've
don't
made so
disagree
much.
with it, so I'm not mad. We love God on this show. It is what it is. If you don't like
Yeah.
it, don't watch it.
I mean, y'all athletes. I bet it was weird when y'all first broke something and the doctor said, "Oh, when it repairs, it'll be stronger." And you're like, "What? My arm is gonna be stronger after it broke?" But it broke in 3 places, doctor. But that's how we are as people. We can become stronger when we allow ourselves to repair. And what is a cast really? A cast is just being still. I remember wearing like, what is it? As a kid, when I broke my arm, I was like, "Why? What does a cast actually do? Why I gotta wear this weird thing?" And the doctor's like, "Because you need to stay still." And that's all you have to do in your feelings and who you are as a person with someone else. Stay the fuck still. And then hear each other in that time so y'all can listen and talk and then pray and build and be stronger.
Okay,
Like
but
Jay-Z
we're
said.
talking about movement, not to cut you off, but we don't have a lot of
Yeah.
time, and I
Oh,
still
yeah.
want to try to get through some
Bishop Eddie
more.
was cooking.
What?
I said Bishop Eddie was cooking. He was giving
I
me
know,
good
Yeah.
word right there.
but
But go ahead, Carolyn. Go ahead with
I
the next joint.
But
okay, we
Carolyn,
in the benediction you can come back in.
no, but maybe I'm mishearing you. But Carolyn, it seems like
Okay,
every
right
time.
now.
Pastor Eddie. Pastor Eddie.
That's the bishop.
It
Right
just
now,
seems.
I just want to know some more. So I do want to bring your attention to a comment that was in the chat. I think iCrown, hey Bella, said children. A lot of women do get married because they want kids, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But you don't got to be married to have kids now. You can adopt. You can go to the sperm bank. Like there's so many.
You
You don't.
never needed you needed to get married back then to have kids because you financially needed a way to take care of them. I just want to throw that in that caveat. Nowadays you don't. So I just want to make sure there's a difference.
Okay, which again lends to the thought process or the idea that marriage is outdated
Mm-hmm.
in that way, right?
Yep.
Okay. So something we agree on. Okay, high five. All right. What else? What else? Like why else should women get married? And I'm asking you guys, like, there's some women on here. There definitely be women watching at some point. For the woman
You
who
tell
is
us
like,
why. We not women. You need to tell us why you think you should get married, other than that Disney dream that you was sold at 6 years old.
I honestly don't know, is what I'm saying. Like the more that the older I get, the more aware of who I am and comfortable with that I get. I am trying to figure out why I would get married. Like why would I get married outside of a financial come up, which because I believe that I'm going to come up financially anyway, that is not enough for me. If that were the case, I would have been married already.
The friendship is but I'm in it for the friendship. I love the friendship.
Okay. Now that's something I can get behind. If I did marry, he would literally have to be my best friend.
That's
And
what
you
I'm
can
saying.
do that without
He has to be my best
you can
friend.
do that without being married.
You can do it without being married. But I think that as if we're best friends, and Sean said something earlier that I don't know that I brought to the attention on the show, but I responded in the chat that it's more so respect, right, than anything. If you get married to your best friend, there's always going to be a level of respect there that's going to keep your marriage intact. In my opinion, haven't been married, but I'd imagine that would be the case. So, but that's not why a lot of people aren't marrying their best friend. They're not marrying for the reasons that Eddie said, like from a biblical perspective, which is an excellent reason and what we should all be doing if we're not married yet. But even if we take, religion out of it, like money is not a good reason. A lot of marriages fail based on getting married for the money. That's not a benefit to marriage to me. And it is some people's marriages end no matter how much financially they come up.
Can marriage be a business arrangement?
I think marriage is a business arrangement for some people.
100%.
Do
It's a
I
legal
agree?
procedure.
That's not a reason for me to. I'm not going to get married just solely based on financial gain, because I am starting to understand through this show and the conversations we have the level of commitment that it takes to have a successful marriage. That is such a high level of commitment. And honestly, I don't know that I can make that level of commitment with someone who's not committed in that manner to me.
That's why he asked you. You don't ask him. He asked you.
Right. But what if the commitment falls off once we get married? I'm not going to stay I don't want to stay in the marriage then.
But see, that's the thing. The definition of commitment is
Staying committed.
I'm not going anywhere. That's the definition of commitment. The commitment is I'm here when it's not good. I'm here to get through it to where it's good again.
Right.
That's the commitment.
You guys gotta stop acting like this shit is roses and rainbows all the fucking time.
No, I know it's not, which is why I'm very
I don't think you do.
Making that level of commitment.
I don't think you do, because if you did really, really inhale that, then you would know there are gonna be times where you're not gonna be happy.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. It's like my job, which I love. I do wonderful
because then you wouldn't walk away if you were unhappy. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong.
Is not all the time. It's just in pockets, and then the good also outweighs the bad all day long when it comes to my job, because there's nothing more rewarding to me than impacting lives in a positive way or setting kids up for success outside of school. So, but I have awful days at work where I'm like, this is some bullshit. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right, but that's not a good analogy.
It's the perfect analogy. She's talking about her marriage. She's married to her job.
Mm-hmm.
No. That's an issue. You can't have sex with your job. You can't make love with there's no physical connection to your job. What I'm saying is that there's not a psychological component to your job. When you're dealing with another human being that you've gone under and said, I'm committed to you, And sidebar, your job is not committed to you.
No.
So that's a whole nother part. It's not the same. This person said they're committed to you and you're committed to them. There are going to be times, and hopefully not at the same time, where you're both unhappy and you have to work through that. That's just what it is.
But Jay Mitch, here's the
Your
problem.
job can fire you when they're unhappy with you. Period. It's not the same.
So can a spouse.
Right.
Divorce.
And they do. Divorce.
The problem is,
as long as you doing the work.
That job did not make a commitment to you.
Yeah, they did.
No, they did not. It's called at will. I can fire you at will for a reason because I am not committed to you.
Take out the word fire and put in the word divorce. It's the same thing.
It's not. Marriage is not at will.
Yes,
but
it is.
The point is
No,
this, though.
we make it at will because we're not committed.
But the point is this.
Marriage was a decision.
Exactly. Nobody takes a job with the expectation to get fired or leave.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if it's not an expectation. Why the words matter. Any job that says I can fire you at will means I am not committed to you. Period. Point blank, bottom line. That's how that shit works. The reason why they put that language in there is because when I stop liking your ass, you're getting the fuck out. Point blank, bottom line. In a marriage, you are not supposed to be able to act like that.
But peep this, though.
If
This
you
is my
were,
point.
then there would be no such thing as divorce.
Well, I'm not saying that's not what happens. I'm saying that that's the problem. They're not the same. They shouldn't be the same.
Okay.
They should not be the same.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
They shouldn't be. No.
They should. They are. We treat it like a job.
Be.
It's not. It should be the same.
Right.
But Jay, peep this.
Hold on. I don't remember saying in my bowels, yo, or put up the shit is at will.
Yeah, facts. The funny thing about
prenups.
The funny thing about
that's
marriage,
not
though,
at will neither. Prenup is insurance. It's like life insurance.
Okay.
I know we got to jump, but all I was going to say is that she's looking at her job the way we look at her. Because the point is that marriage, social aspect, it's worship centric, which means that women look at the incentive of like, he needs to make me happy. He's serving me. He's buying this for me. The ring he gave me is 3 months paycheck, whatever this bullshit tradition. So to a woman, she's looking at it like, oh my God, he's no longer buying me flowers. Oh my God, he didn't notice me today. And all of a sudden I'm going to quit my job. But Karen is looking at her job the way we look at her as a wife. Like, I can't quit this job. I know it's crazy. I know it's rough, but damn it, I'm going to work through it. Women don't look at us like that. You feel me? Because it's worship centric is how they look at us. We provide for them. And when we fall off, when we get sick, car accident, and we down for those months, oh, this is boring. I know the vows said what they said, but oh, wow. I didn't know he was going to be down.
Nigga, dick don't work. Fuck him.
I haven't been shopping in like 6 months.
Bye.
Right, but my point was the way Carolyn looks at her job is the way a wife is supposed to look at her role in a marriage.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? When we were using the word commitment to her job, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Like your thought process to the shit is trash today, but I love it so much. I really don't want to leave. Well, I wish it got better. I would do anything to make it better right now so I can keep on going.
Yeah.
That mindset is supposed to be the mindset a wife is supposed to have.
Right.
But I don't think that a lot of people have that mindset going into a marriage, or, you know, I don't think a lot of people have that mindset or that level of commitment. It's hard to have that level of commitment to people when people are so fickle and, you know, they're only human. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to change their mind. They might decide, you know, I want this instead of that, or whatever the case may be. So when you're talking about being that committed to someone, it's scary. And I personally think, I don't know what it would take to get me to that point. I mean, outside of it being my best friend, who
It's
I
a
just
roller coaster that you're not supposed to try to get out of until the ride is over.
yes, I don't.
Yeah. Wrap it up, see.
Oh, we gotta wrap it.
Wrap
Oh,
it up.
we're on time. Okay, well, we gotta wrap it up. I don't know. I'm feeling like we left in like a, like we could have talked about this more. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see if we can revisit this maybe next week. We'll talk about it and see. So I don't know what next week's topic is gonna be. Could be part 2 of this. Could be something new. But I'm gonna let Eddie and Jay Mitch go, and then I'll go, and then Jay, you can close us out. So E, you first.
Man, black love, man, it's suffering. I know it broke my heart a little bit to hear. It says a lot to me that the government created welfare knowing that the incentive would be, I can get these men out the house. That says a lot to me when they sat in a war room and said, how can we destroy the black family? We'll create this thing called welfare, and we'll make it we'll give the incentive to where we'll give the woman all this money, but I better not see a man in that house. And I'm a victim of that too, bro. Like I grew up with a single mom, but I can say that I'm aware of my deficiencies now, knowing as who I am as a man and what I had to grow out of because of the deficiencies of being raised by a woman. My mom did a great job. Let me put that out there. But the point is, now that I have to be on the other side of it as a man, as a father, I know how important black love and black marriage is. So a lot of times that keeps me humble on the earth social aspect of it, not even God, which is a big aspect of why I stay so faithful to the game. But my point is that I think it hurts my heart that now that women coming up, they looking down at us. And that's the part that's killing me and killing us really. And I hope we just grow out of that too. And I'm praying on that.
Mm. Jay Mitch.
Is marriage outdated? For some, it is. Some people want the positives of marriage and delete the negatives and create their own little new thing with whatever titles they throw on it. For others, they still feel like they want to take the good and the bad and call it a marriage and make that commitment to somebody and that actually means something to them, you know? Um, the difference between marriage and not being married is that one commitment piece, however you define it, but ultimately is this decision I'm making is a decision I'm only making with one person, and it is you. And because of this decision, we're gonna ride it till the wheels fall off, come hell or high water.
Mm.
Hopefully, people do what works for them, and if it works for them, great. You know, but it's a tough choice. You know, it's a hard choice because it's a life choice. And whether you lean towards marriage or something else, you're gonna have to live with the outcome. You're gonna have to deal with it and enjoy it. You know, so you know, hopefully, some people learned some things today. You know, I definitely did. So
That's what's up. I mean, I think I learned a lot too. Like I said, my views on marriage and just kind of like my mindset on what I believed it to be growing up as a kid to where I am now. I always believed it to be something important that, God was involved in as a kid because I saw everybody around me was married. My parents were married, all my aunts and uncles, everybody around me was married. So it was something that I deemed as important and something that I felt like I definitely wanted to do at some point in life. And now, where I am in my personal journey as far as marriage, I do think some ideals around marriage are outdated. For me, I think that the only way that I would get married if it was a situation in which it was designed to be based on God and what the Bible says. That's the only way. And I know that for it to be that, then you have to be dealing with a special type of man who is led by God. And that is, in my opinion, rare. So, but I'm okay with not getting married. But that's the only situation in which I would. For me, that stands the test of time. Why God created marriage and what it's supposed to be like according to my personal beliefs. So whatever you choose, whatever your side of it is, however you feel about marriage, I think at the end of the day, do what makes you happy. I wouldn't. What's the thing you said, Jay? Because I'm gonna start.
You should always be selfish about your happiness.
You should always be selfish about your happiness. You know,
As you
you have to be good within you first and foremost to be good for someone else. So that's what I will leave it with. And then Jay, you can take us on.
Man, marriage ain't for everybody. Marriage ain't for everybody. I know one of my favorite movies of all time. I think if you watch this movie, it tells you everything about love and marriage. Love Jones. My man said, listen, some of the smartest people on the planet knew never to get married. That says something, right? There's a lot of things that come with it. It ain't for everybody, and that's okay. My parents were never married, but they were together for almost 20 years. They were committed to each other for almost 20 years. So it's not like, and I never knew that until I was a grown adult. So it's not like it can't happen, right? I think one of the biggest things that we have to, again, be honest with ourselves, what we can handle and what we can't handle. But at the end of the day, is marriage outdated? The institution of it, I'll say this, it may need some readjustments. With that said, listen, big shout out to my man Eddie. Big shout out to my man Jay Mitch. Appreciate y'all coming on. Big shout out to Tip of Tat Nation. Big thank y'all for coming on every week. You know, we here Tuesday, 8 o'clock. Big shout out to my co-host and founder of Tip of Tat. We love you, Carolyn. Always doing a great job every week. Listen, y'all come back next week. We're going to have a new topic, or we're going to stick with this. We never know how we do this. Love y'all, Tip of Tat Nation. Holla.
Bye.